New this afternoon, we're learning the founder of Focus on the Family, Dr. James Dobson, has died at the age of 89. He started a radio show counseling Christians on how to be good parents back in 1977.
Well, greetings to our Family Talk friends. I'm Jim Dobson, and with me is my wife, Shirley. We were married 55 years ago tonight. It was on August 27th, 1960. And we had been college sweethearts for 3 years. We had a wonderful time in college. And at last, we had finished school and we set the date and decided to get married, to join our hearts together forever.
There are some people who just left a lasting impact on your life, and they didn't try very hard. All they did was just behave godly and teach godly principles. I would say that applies to someone like Dr. James Dobson, who passed away on yesterday, on August 21st. He passed away at the age of 89. What his legacy is to bring about a focus on, as the name of his organization is, on the family. You would think that you wouldn't have to do that, but unfortunately, especially if you look around today, you have to. There has been a systematic tearing down of the family structure, that a nuclear family is not ideal, and it is. Just go and look at the stats of people who don't have a two-parent household, what the likelihood is of those children in those households.
In fact, I'm quite sure I heard this on radio on Focus on the Family, that for 20 years or so, government has been unfriendly towards families. What's that all about?
Well, that's certainly been true in the United States, and I suspect it's true here in Canada as well, that every special interest group has a lobbying representative in Washington. Everything from the possum growers of America to the larger unions, the National Education Association and so on. And they have great influence with Congress. They make contributions. I'm sure it's true in Parliament here as well. But the family is not represented, and the interests of the family very often get overridden. Taxes have been confiscatory in both our countries, I think. Just the decisions that are made are not in the best interest of families. And it's time that we recognize that if you lose it there, you lose it. Because that's the foundation. The family is the ground floor, the foundation for everything. And you undermine that basic unit, and all of society crumbles. And so we're trying to get a little attention to that most fundamental value.
Oh, that big word, I've never used that word. That means the government's going to confiscate everything you got.
That's exactly what it means. It means that they've got all kinds of purposes that they want to take your money to support. And I'm in favor of lowering those taxes and allowing families to spend their own money. I think they can do it better than government can do it.
This is a man I believe was married over 60 years, something like that. So it is a tremendous accomplishment. Obviously, a lot of us would like to be married that long. I've been married over 30 years. I would love to be in that position to where I'm speaking about being with my wife and my family for over 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. That is the goal, that when I die with the wife that I started off with. And he put an emphasis on that. He put an emphasis on training your children in a godly fashion. As a matter of fact, a large part of the homeschool movement here in America owes a debt of gratitude to someone like Dr. James Dobson and his family. Now, I know there was a bit of a split with some of the people, and then there was a new group that started. It doesn't matter. And I'm not saying that everything that he may have believed or taught was perfect. No. But again, he put, as he says, the focus back on the family. You know what it reminds me of, though? It reminds me of 1 Samuel, when the people of God, supposedly the people of God, what do? They do like we all do. They demand something different. And it came about that these people demanded, this is as Samuel was getting older, and his sons were not walking the way that he wanted them, or they should have. By the way, the breakdown of that particular family led to Israel deciding, we want a king like every other nation. And so that was heartbreaking to him, but obviously it was something that God used to lead up to bringing Christ in. And the problem with this is that the Lord tells them to tell them what's going to happen. The reason why this is important is because if you read 1 Samuel 8, he tells them all the things that the government is going to want to do, or I should say that the king is going to want to do. And so let's look at some of the things that he says, and these are some of the things that also Dr. Dobson warned about. He says, so he spoke to them, he says that this will be the procedure of the king who will reign over you. He will take your sons and place them for himself in his chariots and among his horsemen. He'll make them become part of his army. He will appoint for himself commanders of thousands and of fifties, and some to do his plowing and to reap his harvest. In other words, they're going to grow his food. We see that today. They will take some of your daughters and perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields. He'll take your land. He'll tax your land. As a matter of fact, he's going to tax you, all so that you would have the privilege of being ran and governed by a government versus God. And we see this intrusion even as it relates to the family. The government wants to tell you how you ought to run your family, what you can and you cannot do. He wants us, that is, Dr. James Dobson wanted us to make sure that we kept the focus on the family. Why? Because, again, as you get away from that, you're going to see some alarming stats because of people who don't have a mother and a father there.
Always recognize the crucial role a mother plays in the development of children.
Here's Dr. James Dobson with Family Talk.
But behavioral scientists have only recently begun to understand the vital role a father plays in a family's emotional health. Dads are just as important to children as moms, but in a very different way. He cited recent studies indicating that by 8 weeks, babies can distinguish between the differing caretaking methods of a mother and a father. Further studies found that infants are born with a drive to connect with their fathers. Teenagers also express a deep need for their fatherly influences. In fact, some teen rebellion is often a complex effort by adolescents to connect with their fathers by confronting his rules and values.
Whatever you may have thought about Dr. James Dobson, I and my family were certainly blessed by him. Interestingly enough, a lot of people who were black didn't necessarily listen to Dr. James Dobson. They should have. I know some that did, but many didn't because of the cultural differences, the music that we listened to, and he wouldn't show up on certain radio shows. But I know a lot of black people, especially in Lubbock, when I was a young husband and a young parent, we would listen to him a lot because he made good sense. What he said was scriptural, and it transcends culture and race. And so we are going to miss him without question, but his impact is certainly still going to be felt.